Hey everybody, so I got a request in a comment to do a video about motivation. How do you stay motivated in school, especially with random things going on like the COVID-19 quarantine? Now, I have made videos like this already on motivation, finding your purpose, procrastination, productivity, time management, even this past year, but I've been doing this for many years. So first thing I would suggest is you go to my YouTube channel, use the search function, search all those phrases I just mentioned, and you'll find many videos on topics like that. So there's that. But I want to over deliver and give you a fresh video on that as well right now. So, how do you stay motivated? How do you keep focused? Well, I think most people cling on to one thing or the other, and especially young people. It's it's more basic. I want to, it's either I want to please my parents or I want to get these good grades for myself so that I can go to a good school, or I want to get these good grades so that I will feel happy and content with my performance, or I want to get these good grades so I can have a better future. Something along those lines. And that's really what kind of drives them and pushes them forward. Um, Now, I think after a while, those motivators only sustain you for so long. Maybe it'll get you far enough for maybe 2, 3, 4 years, but you will burn out, especially as the coursework gets harder and harder and more difficult. Some people, especially when they're in middle school or high school, they can handle it because it's not as difficult yet. Maybe they're just naturally skilled or talented, but then when it gets harder, then they have to work much harder as well, and things flip. So yeah, those are things that you can build off, but what else can you use as a motivator? I like to use this activity. It's very well known in the personal development sphere, selling sphere, but I think it deserves much more uh, knowledge because it's very effective. It can get very philosophical too, but basically you want to ask yourself, why am I doing this? And then you keep asking yourself that why, and get deeper and deeper into deeper layers. Now, if you go too deep, then you most of the time you get very touchy feely. You start to cry because it gets very deep. But you really try to figure out what really motivates you. Who are you as a person? And so to illustrate, now let's just use the school example. First layer, why do I want to get good grades? Do I want to get good grades because I want to really get into a good school? Well, why do you want to get into a good school? Well, if I get into a good school, then I can set myself up to get a good job and make a lot of money. Well, why do you want to make a lot of money? Well, if I make a lot of money, then, I won't have to worry about buying stuff, putting food on the table, and I'll look like a boss to women. Well, why do you want to look like a boss to women? Well, I want to look like a boss to women because I want to impress them, because I want to find a good girlfriend. So notice I've already gone four or five levels deep, and I've already kind of figured out, okay, one of my motivators, or technically two, because there's two ways you could split. I could have also asked, why do you want to buy all this stuff? It comes down to maybe family and relationships, a romantic relationship, and taking care of my life, my livelihood. So those are two motivators, more selfish motivators, and that's not a good or bad thing. It's just that's how my personality type rolls. And as you ask these questions, you may find, and I've done videos on the DISC personality test and so forth. I've written a whole article on it on my blog, and different people will have different answers. Some people are more selfless, and as they answer the questions, they find out that what they really care about is, I want to make all this money so I can donate it to charity and really impact the world in a positive way. And so you find out that they're more selflessly motivated. So you don't have to go too deep. I think it's useful to do that every once in a while just to get a philosophical sense of who you are. But once you get 4 layers deep, you already get a sense for why you're doing what you do. And sometimes you figure out, well, I'm doing all this just to get a date. And there's people who are getting dates right now. Why don't I just cut out 20 years of school, med school and grad school and college, just because it's some pipe dream that in 20 years that will get me this romantic date. Maybe it will, or maybe you could get that now, and you just think you need all these steps, and it might just change your mind, expand your mind. And you might be thinking, oh well, that's going to just derail me, right? It's going to demotivate me if I want to get dates now, and turns out I can get them now, and I'll have to wait into the future. Well, at least you've kind of clarified what your real motivators are. And honestly, once you've cleared that away, you might be able to figure out what you really care about. Because romantic stuff, those are all kind of superficial stuff that you can get over quickly. The money, the cars, the women, and stuff like that. Or the men, if you're a girl watching this. So when you clear all that away, you can get to what really motivates you. Maybe it's helping your family. Maybe it's providing for yourself and your future family. Maybe it's forming strong relationships. And then when you can really hone in on that, you realize, okay, this is what really matters. Or you can find supplementary things, secondary, tertiary things that are your motivators that you can kind of put to the forefront. I did this exercise, and I find out, oh, I really care about my own health, longevity, my life, and my own well-being, so I can perform better, so I can live better, live healthily, feel good about my appearance, my weight, how I'm using healthy habits, and exercising. And so I found I'm very motivated for myself, but in a self-loving way. And so now I figured out one of my true motivators is self-love. And the expression of that is through studying, learning more about myself, improving myself, improving my mind, pushing myself mentally and physically, making sure I exercise every day. And so that's a more core motivator that's sustainable for me. I can do this every day and sustainable, and I don't burn out. Burnout usually comes from a level of expectation, and then sometimes a failure, a frustration of meeting that expectation on a recurring basis, often due to a focus on more superficial things that bring pleasure but not enduring happiness. So I don't want to get too philosophical, but even if we keep it very simple with simple examples, if you're only motivated by something as superficial as your parents and their approval, then once your parents just keep flipping out, which I've experienced, or they become very loosey-goosey and a loose cannon and unpredictable in how they respond, even if you get good grades, then you start to stop relying on that. You're like, wow, I got these straight A's and my Asian parents didn't even give me a reward. They didn't buy me a toy. What's the point? You're almost a victim of the world, the environment. And some people base that not on their parents but any other thing, like how women treat them. If your happiness and your motivation is based on if a girl likes you, I mean, you're at the whim, you've handed a remote control to the girl to kind of just control you. Like if she doesn't feel good that day, she's pissed off at you, and she doesn't want to go on a date with you, then you're unhappy and you're demotivated. And it's out of your control and almost to the whims of how the winds of the world flow and blow. So instead of that, you have to piece together using that exercise and just your own reflection on life. What is a more sustainable motivation that I can uncover within myself and choose? So you might do that exercise and find, oh, I'm really motivated by my parents. So, okay, what else, what other secondary, tertiary things motivate me? You might be like, okay, I want to get grades to appease my parents. Well, why do you want to appease your parents? Because, you know, it makes me happy, it makes me feel good to make them proud. Okay, so maybe there's something you can piece out from that that's not so dependent on the external world, which is not a good thing to depend on. Um, Maybe it's that feeling of pride within yourself or that accomplishment. Maybe that means you're an accomplishment motivated person. Of course, you know, if you have a list of the disc personality motivating drivers, it can kind of give you a better idea of all the categories. And that's just one uh, personality test out there. That it's one I really like, and I think is very accurate. Um, but you know, those are just ideas. I mean, you can find other lists of what motivates people online if you just use Google. But you can find kind of like look at this list and see, okay, which one of these things really aligns to my personality, and then find more sustainable ways of doing that. So once you do that, you can start to really get ahead. I know a lot of productivity people because I've read these tips. I've seen them all before. They like to focus on like these little quick tricks. But in the long run, how far do those really go? You know, how far does uh, rewarding yourself with some candy every time you score well on the test or do your homework do? That's part of the process, and of course, definitely do that as well. Build those good habits. But I wanted to focus on the fundamentals, the core that you build off before any of these other tricks in this video. Because you know, if the core is bad, like let's say you really hate science and you don't want to be a med school doctor and you're just forcing yourself to do it because you want to appease your parents or something like that, how long is that really going to last? Chances are not very long. You're going to quit after 3-4 years. And if you don't, and if you make it, how much resentment will you feel? Um, and so I think that's what separates the top performers, the people who are happy and love what they do, the doctors who love what they do and love helping others and giving back with their craft and what they've learned, versus those who are just kind of indifferent to their patients, kind of cold to people, and are there just for the paycheck, and may not be as happy with life if they even make it there. So, food for thought. Hopefully, this helped. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, comment. It really helps this channel.